So I'm asked a lot, how do you decide which comic formats to collect for your favorite characters? Let's answer that question today.
It's morphin' time!
I wanna take you for a ride. I wanna take you for a ride.
Hello, this is Soundout here, and on today's video, let's talk about my rules for collecting Marvel comics, because I think collections do need rules and guidelines. If you're just buying everything or anything and it's random, you're going to miss stuff, you're going to miss out on things, and you might make some poor decisions on purchases. Even when planning things out and having rules, you can still make poor decisions on purchases. I'm not saying this is a foolproof method. But what I'm going to talk about today is, where do I decide? Am I going to get an Omni for it? Am I going to get an Epic for it? Am I going to get like a thick trade? Am I getting just the event? All that stuff. I'm going to talk about that. It's going to be kind of a loose format, but I'm going to kind of go character and team by team and sort of explain my rationale behind buying the things that I buy. I think that'll be kind of fun. And if you enjoy this, hit the like button, and subscribe to the notification bell, and hit the hype button if it's available to you down there below. Let's begin. We're going to go through it. I'm going to start with some of the easy ones. There's like one very easy one, and then there's a couple that I've already kind of done videos on. And then we're going to get into some interesting stuff, like how do I decide my X-Men collection, for example. So I hope this is helpful, and I hope you'll enjoy it. So let's begin. Okay, let's start with an easy one, Werewolf by Night. I get anything and everything Werewolf by Night, with some exceptions. So obviously, I do have the Max series, which I don't actually like that much. I've got the Legion of Monsters series, where he was a prominent character. I've got the Jake Gomez Werewolf by Night miniseries, got the Unholy Alliance trade, which is mostly just a collection of Werewolf by Night appearances in other comics, and then the most recent, which is the Howling Tome, which contains the entirety of the Jason Liu series, plus the recent one-shots for Blood Hunt and stuff. So that's what Werewolf by Night collection looks like. So what I want is I want to have all the Werewolf by Night, right? So there's some stuff from the 90s that's never been reprinted. I have a little bit of it in a Ghost Rider collection, which is some Marvel Comics Presents stories. So there's definitely some stuff there. The tricky part is, you might notice I don't have the original Werewolf by Night comic. So that was printed as an omnibus, and then it was printed as a Marvel Masterwork. And I thought about getting the Marvel Masterworks several times, but ultimately decided if it's in Masterwork, they're either going to reprint the omnibus at some point, maybe when they're done with the Masterworks, or they're going to put them into Epic collections, reskinning the complete collection paperback. So I'm just kind of been waiting for the original Werewolf by Night. And with Masterworks on hold now, I don't think they finished the Werewolf by Night volumes, so I'm not going to go get those. I'm waiting on an Omni reprint or an Epic collection, whichever comes first. But as soon as they make it, I'll be adding it to the Werewolf by Night collection. I would love to see like an Epic collection of all of his 90s appearances, for example. That would be kind of neat. But yeah, anytime they print a Werewolf by Night thing, I'm in for it. I just skipped out on Masterworks, because Masterworks are expensive. One of the reasons why they put them on hold is because they weren't selling as well, and that was partially because the cover price was $75 to $100 for a low page count. And so for hardcore Masterworks collectors, they still were buying them, but for anybody new coming in, that wasn't really accessible. But this is not about Masterworks, it's about my rules of collecting. And my rule is, Werewolf by Night, I'm in. Alright, Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't really need to explain this one too much, because I've done a video on the Guardians of the Galaxy reading order. So go check that out if you haven't. That was a little while ago. But basically, the idea I have here is that I'm going to collect all the Guardians. So what do I have? What do I don't have? This is where we can start to kind of get the rules into place. So first of all, classic Guardians, I'm just going for the epics, because it's going to be the most complete experience. That's fine. Modern Guardians, I've gone a few steps further. So obviously, the modern era epics are pretty great, because like the first one starts with the first 12 issues and the Annihilation Conquest Star-Lord series. The second one finishes this main run. The third one, interestingly, doesn't jump to the next Guardians run, but actually includes some interlude stuff. So I will be picking that up, as we'll talk about in a moment. Of course, I do have Annihilation, which is kind of what begins the modern cosmic era. It reintroduces Drax and stuff. I have the 3 trades that make up Annihilation. There's 2 epics. I didn't get those because the Annihilation Conquests are going to just be reskinned. So I decided I already have the 5 books of Annihilation. I'm good. I don't need to rebuy them for some slight shelf space savings, so I did that. Now, this is where things get interesting. The Annihilator series I have because it has Rocket and Groot. I don't consider any of these characters Guardians. I mean, Quasar has been on the Guardians, but I feel like Phyla Vel Quasar more so than Wendell Pierce. Beta Ray Bill has spent some time in the Guardians. Gladiator really hasn't. Ronan really hasn't. Silver Surfer really hasn't. But this book was kind of in the fallout of Annihilation, and also it was after Annihilation. It was after War of Kings, and it was before Guardians like relaunched again. And so Annihilators is going to be the third Guardians modern epic, which I didn't expect, but is kind of cool. And that's also going to include the missing issue of the Thanos Imperative, which leads into Annihilators, which wasn't included in Guardians Modern Epic 2, so I'm going to be rebuying that just for completion. I will buy books just for one issue. See, here's the other Annihilators Earthfall. This is not really a Guardians comic, but there also really isn't somewhere else to put it besides just as an Annihilation epic, but it doesn't make sense because it takes place after War of Kings. So the Annihilation epics would have to include War of Kings. Anyways, I think the way they're doing it, it's fine. Works for me. Speaking of, I will just buy something for one issue. This has Guardians of the Galaxy Dream On and Most Wanted, which I don't think are in other trades. One of those is another trade and one of them's not, but it was a couple one-shots, and for some reason one of them was only printed in this digest size, so I have that, because again, completion. Here I have all the trades of the Bendis run, for example. I have all the trades for all the runs after this. The Bendis Omnibus didn't get a second volume, so I didn't go for the Bendis Omnibus. I got the old trades. I have all the trades from here all the way up through the Lansing and Kelly run. And I have all the Spide series, so Legendary Star-Lord, Drax, Gamora, Rocket, Groot, Yondu. I have all the side stuff. I'm so close to having everything from Guardians in the modern era that I think the only things I'm missing is like the 2 issues of Nebula that came out before it was canceled due to COVID. So there's that. And again, there was like a Thanos Imperative issue that's going to be in the next Guardians Modern Epic. At some point, will I replace all these trades with Guardians Modern Epics? Hopefully. That'd be a lot nicer. I'd love to have a bunch of epics on the shelf instead of a bunch of trades, but if it doesn't happen, I've already got it. Another one that's not a surprise, Ghost Rider. Did a whole video on Ghost Rider as well. I love Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider was the thing that got me into Marvel Comics. So I love my Ghost Rider. I'm going all in on Ghost Rider, like no questions asked. So first of all, I've been doing the classic Ghost Rider in the epics because, again, same thing I said about the Werewolf by Night Masterworks. It was just like, well, they'll probably put it in an epic collection. And they started doing an epic. And I was like, cool, I'll wait that out. They got 3 of them out. Volume 4 is coming this year. Volume 5 will probably come next year. That'll finish off the classic Johnny Blaze run. That's covered. Danny Ketch, they put out an epic. I rebought, I had the earlier thicker trades. Now I rebought it as an epic. Then they put out the Omnibus. And when I made that video, I hadn't got the Omnibus yet. But they did Volume 1 and Volume 6 of the Danny Ketch epics. And then they've already got 3, they're up to 3 on solicitations for the Omnis. And the 4th one got pseudo-confirmed. So, I just started going for the Omnis. I don't know if this is just because, I turned 30 and I'm like, I don't want to wait for the epics to cover all this. But, the Omnis. But then the other side of it, this is the funny part, is the epics very much are to the point with everything. They include Marvel Comics Presents stories and stuff. Let's see if I can get the table of contents here. So you can see, for example, like you got Ghost Rider, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, then some Marvel Comics Presents. Whereas you look at the Omni, it's Ghost Rider 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, the Spider-Man 2-parter, then the Marvel Comics Presents. Those 2 Spider-Man issues aren't in the epics. I think I have those 2 Spider-Man issues in a Spider-Man trade, but if I want to sell that at some point, I'm going to be missing that. And then there's also a lot more Marvel Comics Presents, and I don't know how much of this is going to make it into the epics. The epics have skipped over the Spider-Man. What are they going to skip over in the future? The Omnis are a lot more complete. So I'm abandoning the epics. They haven't even announced another Danny Ketch epic. That's how slow these are taking. They were doing 2 Ghost Riders a year, 1 Johnny, 1 Danny. Now they're just doing 1 and they're just focusing on Johnny. So I guess I'm trying to finish that out before doing these. Because they're doing these, I'm just going to be buying the Omnis at this point. That's where I'm at. And then going forward, I have all the trades from everything Johnny, everything, Cosmic Ghost Rider, Robbie, Alejandra, Sal Romero. I don't think there's any trades with Kushala's stuff, which is sad. But I have all the stuff. If they show up in something, I've got it. It's Ghost Rider. I will buy stuff. There's like a Thunderbolts comic came out recently. Sal Romero's in like half of it. I bought that trade because it's Ghost Rider. The thing is, I don't own the Jason Aaron Ghost Rider Omnibus because it's only the Jason Aaron part. That's not complete enough for me, and I already have that in trade, and the trades I have a couple issues that aren't in the Omni because Jason Aaron didn't write them, so I didn't double dip on that. So that's where I'm at with Ghost Rider. Now, this does extend. I did mention my Psychosis thing. I love Ghost Rider. So I have the Champions Masterwork because my comic shop put it half off, and I was like, sure, because Ghost Rider's a member of this team. It also kind of goes in my X-Men collection because of Iceman and Angel, and I also have a lot of Hercules stuff, so this is totally cool. But I picked this up. This is one of those books where it's like, if you look, it's only like 17 issues plus some bonus stuff. Like, this could be an epic at some point, like a one-shot Champions epic, but I don't need it now because I got the Masterwork. And then I have mentioned this before. I own all of Jason Aaron's Avengers run because Robbie Reyes is a main character. I don't even like this comic, but it's Ghost Rider, so I have it all, and I bought it in OHC and then the Avengers Forever Omnibus because that was honestly a better price value than the single trades. But Ghost Rider's here, and She-Hulk's here. Let's talk about She-Hulk next. She-Hulk, I'm all in on. When it comes to solo appearances, She-Hulk has been on a lot of teams. Fantastic Four, we'll get to that later. Avengers, right? She-Hulk's been on a lot of teams, and she's had appearances in other books. For me, I'm focusing on the She-Hulk solo books because there are some good collections of She-Hulk of appearances in other comics, but it is hard to track, and without just owning everything Avengers, it's going to be tricky. So I've decided I'm just going to focus on She-Hulk solos. But that being said, it is any format goes. So, for example, I have the Savage She-Hulk Omnibus, which is the Savage She-Hulk series, which only lasted 25 issues, and it does have a Marvel 2-in-1 issue she appeared in as well. But this is her entire original Savage She-Hulk series before the fourth wall breaking, before the more comedy-focused, more when she was, a giant angry monster type. So I've got that. That's covered, right? So then you're like, okay, well, you like She-Hulk so much, you probably got the John Byrne Omnibus. No, I don't. Because the John Byrne Omnibus only contains the John Byrne issues. So for Sensational She-Hulk, I'm doing the epics. So Epic 3 starts Sensational She-Hulk, and you see it goes 1 to 12. And then Volume 4 goes 13 to 30. And then Volume 5, which is coming later this year, goes from 31 to 50. And then this one goes 51 to 60, plus extra appearances. So the thing is, this is going to cover that whole era complete, where the John Byrne Omnibus only covers the John Byrne era. Now, if Marvel goes back and makes an omnibus of Sensational She-Hulk volumes 1 and 2, and it's the entire series across 2 books with extra appearances, will I rebuy it? Probably. I really do love She-Hulk, but I do really love She-Hulk on her own solo adventures, more so than with the team, even though I like that she's basically on every team, if that makes sense. I really love her solo stuff. So, this volumes 3 through 6 covered. Now, if volumes 1 and 2 of the epics contain stuff that's not in that Savage Omni, I guess I'm double dipping. But let's talk about the modern She-Hulk. So modern She-Hulk's pretty well covered. We got the Dan Slott Omnibus, which covers all the Dan Slott issues on the character, which was the 2004 series 1 to 12 and the 2005 series 1 to 21. They threw in the Two Gun Kid Marvel Western one-shot, which was nice. This was followed up with the Peter David Omnibus, and the Peter David Omnibus covers 22 through 38, which finishes that. Plus, it has additional appearances, including her appearance in X Factor, and the Peter David issue of Sensational She-Hulk, number 12, which is in an epic, but it's kind of nice to have it in an Omni. And then, let's see, all new Savage She-Hulk, that technically counts. It's not about Jen, so I don't like it as much, but it was kind of one of those, I saw it at the comic shop and decided to grab it. So I got that. Sadly, the Charles Soule and Javier Pulido run has only been done as a complete collection paperback. So this was 12 issues, and that's the only collection of that. Mariko Tamaki's run here, which was just called She-Hulk, this is when she had the gray She-Hulk look. That was, Hulk from 2017, 1 to 11, and She-Hulk from 2017, 159 to 163. Honestly, I know Marvel doesn't usually do like a combined creator eras as much, but they started doing it with Captain Marvel recently. I would love for this to just become an Omni because, I did buy these 2 thick trades. I'll just rebuy them as Omnis. If they did one Omni together for both of these, I'd be into that. All right, and then most recently, the Rainbow Rowell run has been put into an omnibus, which is both the original run, the 2022 series, plus Sensational 2023 1 to 10. So it's all 25 issues. So this is like complete. So that's why I'm kind of like, will a hypothetical Soul Tamaki She-Hulk omnibus have extra stuff that's not in those 2 trades? Probably not. But then I'd have the whole modern era in Omni. So that's cool. Also, there's Planet She-Hulk, which is currently going on. I don't know how long it's going to last because the Marvel Cosmic stuff seems kind of washed at the moment. But, I don't think that'll get an Omni unless it's combined with the others. And if it does, I'd get it. It's also Cosmic. Goes with Guardians. So, there's that. But that's She-Hulk. It's, any format I'm good with. Also, when that Epic comes out, I will have all of She-Hulk's solo comics in my collection. So that's pretty awesome. All right, let's talk about another character. We got Hawkeye. So with Hawkeye, whether it's Clint or Kate, I love Hawkeye stories. Just like with She-Hulk, I'm not going to be tracking down every single Avengers appearance, right? If there's an Epic collection, like the first Hawkeye Epic was all Avengers issues, cool. If there's not, I'm not going to worry about it. So for me, it's that. And for the most part, it's all paperbacks. I mean, I've got, I got all the Hawkeye Epics, all 5 of them, so that's covered. I've got, here's an Avengers solo Hawkeye miniseries. I've got that cool saga thick trade of the Fraction and Aha run that's all 22 issues in the annual, which honestly, I'm surprised wasn't just an Epic collection, but, that's that whole run in one go. And then I have every single Hawkeye trade after that. I have all the Hawkeye solo stuff at this point. The only way I would end up buying any of this again is if they just make more Epics. If they did more Omnis, probably wouldn't do it as much. But if they did Epics, I would probably keep it for the consistency of the Epics. But I have everything. I got this. I've got the Kelly Thompson run. I've got, all the miniseries and stuff. I've managed to cover Hawkeye pretty extensively. I think being a lesser popular character is really helpful for that. So pretty well off with my Hawkeye collection. So probably due to my love of the 90s cartoon, I'm a big Silver Surfer fan. That's where I was introduced to the character, was the Fox Kids Silver Surfer cartoon. Used to watch it with my mom. We rewatched it together a few years ago. It still holds up. That show is incredible. If you've never seen the Silver Surfer series, it's got some kind of weird CG at times, but the writing is impeccable. Voice acting is awesome. I love that show. What was I talking about? Silver Surfer comics. Yeah. So with Silver Surfer, when I started collecting Epic collections, I had gotten a couple. And I was like, ooh, I kind of like this format. And I was like, oh, they have Silver Surfer? Because Silver Surfer, despite not holding down a title anymore, he had a 145 issue run in the 90s. So they started doing epics of him, and they've actually got almost all of them. And I do have all the epics that matter. I don't have the first epic, and I'm not going to get the first epic unless it gets reprinted, because the first epic is just a collection of Fantastic Four stories that I already have in my Fantastic Four volumes. More on that later. And then it has a couple appearances I don't have, but I can just read those on Marvel Limited if I want. I'm not super attached to those issues. So with Silver Surfer, I'm in on the solo stuff once again. I know he was on a couple teams. I think he was on Defenders. That's not something I collect because that's a whole can of worms. It's just like Avengers. It's I don't know if I want to go all in on all that. But for solo stuff, I'm pretty covered. Now, annoyingly, after I have all the Silver Surfer epics, after they've kind of, covered most of the series, they started doing Omnis. And they're doing Omnis. They did Omnis of the early stuff, which, I'm waiting on. I'm kind of waiting on epics because I'm so close to finishing them, because I have all the ones released, again, minus that first one, but Volume 2 would cover that era. I think we're only missing 2 or 3 of the 90s run. So I don't really want to rebuy in Omnibus a series that I've already nearly got complete in paperback. So it's not like the Ghost Rider where I only had 2 volumes and most of those Omnis is new stuff. All the Omnis are just the epics recompiled. So I don't have a reason to rebuy them. But I think it's cool they're doing them, and it's definitely a lot easier to collect now than the epics because out of print status. Otherwise, for Silver Surfer, I'll go in. Here's the Silver Surfer Rebirth series, which takes place during the 90s run. The Warlock Rebirth, same thing. Rebirth Legacy. These are kind of a neat little trinity. Got those because I don't know if those are going to get collected in something. I have other series like De-Evolution. I'm always on the lookout. I think there's one other Silver Surfer mini I'm missing. I picked up the Dan Slott Omnibus because, first of all, it's the entire thing in one go, which is nice, which is all 29 issues. And this is kind of fun because this is like essentially Silver Surfer by way of Doctor Who. He's got a companion. He's going on space adventures, all kinds of fun stuff. The main reason I wanted this in an omnibus format, though, is because it is Mike and Laura Allred on art. And that is one of my favorite artists. Mike Allred and Laura Allred on the colors. Like, that's my favorite, like, one of my favorite artist duos. Honestly, like, they're top 10. So I wanted the Michael and Laura Allred art in full omnibus size. Plus, who knows whenever they're going to get to modern epics for Silver Surfer. So that's why I got that. I was really happy with that. Still will keep that. Even if they make modern epics and they somehow include extra stuff, I'll still keep this Omni because that artwork is gorgeous. The Donny Cates and Tradd Moore Silver Surfer Black, if this got like an Omni, I think it got a gallery edition hardcover, which I'm mixed on that format. So, you know, it would be nice if some of this stuff, like Tradd Moore's another one of those artists that I really like. Really liked their work on the Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider comic as well. Very trippy stuff. Perfect for cosmic things. And then, yeah, we got Silver Surfer Ghostlight, which was a pretty recent series. The most recent Silver Surfer comic was Death of the Silver Surfer, which is actually getting an oversized hardcover, like just instead of a normal trade. I'll get that. And if it's Silver Surfer, I said Ghost Rider because of the Ghostlight thing. If it's Silver Surfer, I will pick it up. I just have that little bit of a limit where I'm like, I'm not going to get, you know, those new 90s Omnis just because I'm so close to finishing the epics. I just have to wait it out. So that's how I work with that. Just like Matt Murdock's Love Life, my Daredevil collection is messy. So for me, I'm kind of mostly interested in modern Daredevil from the Marvel Knights relaunch onward. And then I do like to mix up formats, but here's what my Daredevil collection looks like. I have all the modern epics because the Bendis and Brubaker omnibuses are nice, but they skip over the David Mack issues and the other creators that came in and did stuff. Bob Gale did stuff as well. So I want the epics because they have every single issue. They are missing some miniseries, which is kind of a problem, but at least they got all the core issues. I have Mark Waid's run as well, where I have some of it in trade. I have a chunk of it in oversized hardcover, and then I have the rest of it in trade. I haven't bought the Omnis because honestly, I don't know if I want the Omnis or if they're just going to do modern epics that'll cover it. I have Soul and Zdarsky in Omni. I got a good deal on the Soul Omni, and I have both Zdarsky Omnis because Zdarsky's like my favorite Daredevil run. It's the run I started reading that got me to go, ooh, I want to read more Daredevil. So I have that in Omni. And so I was like, all right, I'm just going to stick to modern Daredevil. And I bought the premiere edition of Born Again, and I was like, maybe I should get the Frank Miller run at some point. And then they hit me with this, which was the Ann Nocenti and John Romita Jr. Omnibus. I said I wasn't going to do classic Daredevil. I said I'm not going to do classic Daredevil. I don't care about the Silver Age stuff. Frank Miller stuff's good, but, you know, do I need it? I don't know. I really like Ann Nocenti as a writer, and I like John Romita Jr.'s art in this run. I got to meet John Romita Jr. this year. That was fun. This arc is incredible. I love this run. I had not read it before the Omni. I heard so many good things about it. I really like Ann Nocenti's writing. I think John Romita Jr.'s artwork, especially for Typhoid Mary, is like very on point. So I was like, okay, Blind Buy. Blind Buy worked out. One of my favorite runs. It's like a debate between Zdarsky and Nocenti for my favorite now. There's a second volume coming out, and I'm definitely going to get that. Now, they did do the Frank Miller. I kind of want to get the Frank Miller omnibuses, but those have modern colors, and I very much don't like modern coloring on old comics. I want old colors. I want the original work. So I don't know. You know, if they were to redo the Frank Miller Omnis and they contained all the issues that were missing and they were the original colors, because that would lead right up to this, might be tempted. But I'm sticking to modern. I told myself I'm sticking to modern. I even got, I'm very complete on modern. I have the Jed McKay miniseries that's between Soul and Zdarsky, but this made me go, maybe there is more Daredevil for me besides the modern. And that's a slippery slope. So Spider-Man 2099, my favorite Spider-Man character of all time. I really like him. I relate to him in some ways. I really like the character. So when they announced the Omnibus, I was slightly annoyed because I already had the thick trades, but they never finished the thick trades. I was like, fine, I'll get the Omni. Then they announced the second one. I was like, okay, I'll get that. Then Marvel was like, hey, I know you've only read like the crossovers of the 2099 universe. Hey, kid, you come over here. come over here, we got an X-Men 2099 Omnibus. And I was like, I've never read it before. Maybe I'll like it. I kind of don't like it that much. I'm going to be totally honest. I've had this book since release, which was like 2 years ago. I'm only that far. I'm still trying. It's just, it has not hooked me yet. This followed up with Doom 2099, which I loved. I'm Dr. Doom's my favorite Marvel villain, so that makes sense. Ghost Rider 2099, which I loved. So, what's my rule 2099, you might ask? If it's an Omni, I'm getting it. I do have some of the single trades of the recent Spider-Man 2099 stuff that I just got on sale, in case that never gets put into an Omni. It might, who knows. I know they have an issue because they can't reprint Hulk 2099 due to the writer, and I don't know how you republish Punisher 2099 and Ravage 2099, because that's not like the best of stuff. I don't know where they're going with it yet, but if they make a 2099 Omnibus, I'm getting it. Will I go back and buy singles to fill in gaps? Probably not. Spider-Man's still my favorite, Ghost Rider's second favorite, Doom third. I don't know if I would enjoy Punisher and Ravage, but I do know that if they buy them, I'm probably going to end up getting them. All right, let's talk about my favorite Marvel Comics team of all time, the Fantastic Four. I love the Fantastic Four. I have never once picked up a Fantastic Four comic, read it, and said, I didn't enjoy that at some level. There are certainly some better than others, and there is certainly stuff in the Fantastic Four's history I don't totally agree with, but I always enjoy reading the stories of this team, and I adore it. This is my first Fantastic Four epic, the new Fantastic Four, because Ghost Rider and Wolverine, and Spider-Man, Hulk. Yeah. So, here's how I do Fantastic Four. I set a hard rule on this, and I've been sticking to it, even though there's been temptation to break it many a time. I've told myself, no Omnis. No Omnis. No, I have one masterwork that I got free from an Audible trial, but that's besides the point. No masterwork, just thick paperbacks. No standard trades, just thick paperbacks. I do have the standard trades of Hickman and Fraction, their runs, because I got good deals on them and I started the collections, I finished them. But I'm not buying like the Ryan North trades, for example. I am only doing thick trades. And the reason why I decided to do that is because I have a lot of messy overlap with a lot of other characters, but Fantastic Four is prominent enough that it will come out in every format eventually. And because I know I'm going to enjoy it when I get it, it doesn't matter when I get it, right? So for me, it's thick trades only. And I have stuck to this hard and fast. I've been tempted to be like, oh man, the Dan Slott run's not going to get thick trades in a while. I could just get the, no. Get thick trades only if it's an epic or something else. So for example, the epic collections, obviously I have all but 3 of them. I'm trying to track down those last 3. It's hard. Some of the most out of print ones. I'm keeping up with the Fantastic Four epics. They've only done classic, so we'll see where it goes. These Wade and Wieringo trades that they start releasing to tie in with the movie, when they started, I was like, okay, yeah, that's just 60 to 66 of Wade's run. That's just the beginning. They did all 4. They did 4 volumes of this, and that means they did the entire run. So I got all of these because they did the entire run. They're not standard trades. They're not that thick, but they are a little thicker. All right. Chip Zdarsky's run, which was Marvel 2-in-1. It was just Ben and Johnny looking for Reed and Sue. This was retitled Fantastic Four, Fate of the Four. This was brought out again to, it came out between Secret Wars and the Dan Slott run. I read this in singles. I absolutely love it. It's fantastic. I don't know why Zdarsky didn't get to write more Fantastic Four, but they did a thick trade of this. Perfect. And, there was a deluxe hardcover. Thought about buying it. At one point, it was actually cheaper than the thick trade, but I'm sticking hard and fast to my rule. Side series, Fantastic Four fanfare that came out recently. If they get to modern epics of the North Run, would they throw this in? Maybe, maybe not. Modern epics aren't as great with the side material, so I got that just in case. All right, spin-off books. The Thing led Marvel 2-in-1, right? It was always the Thing and somebody else. Marvel 2-in-1's getting epics. I got the 3 epics that are out. I'm going to get the 4th one. They did an omnibus. The omnibus included one of the issues that the epics missed. I'm not going to buy an omnibus. I'm not going to rebuy it just for that. I'm sticking to thick trades. There's a Thing John Byrne omnibus that has like the whole run. Also didn't get that. I'm going to wait for Thing epic collections. I'm trying to stick hard and fast to this one because Fantastic Four, because they have the longest history of Marvel, of people that, consistently coming out. I can't just buy whatever. I got to stick to it. That being said, if there's any solo books that come out, I'm just going to pick it up. They reprinted the first half of the 2000 Human Torch series, so I grabbed that. The Invisible One miniseries, got that. The Dan Slott Thing miniseries, got that. These are the kind of things where it's like, when it goes beyond the main book, yeah, I'm just going to grab what comes out in terms of paperbacks, just because there's no guarantee there's going to be like a Human Torch epic, right? But there probably will be a Thing epic because it's a classic Marvel title that ran long enough to do a couple volumes. So I'm going to wait it out. That's kind of the thing. It's a lot of patience with Fantastic Four, but it's made it a lot cleaner. Especially because the next segment is X-Men. Fantastic Four is relatively straightforward. It's usually just one ongoing, maybe a side thing here or there. X-Men is always a mess. Always a mess, 100% of the time. It's just the nature of X-Men. So for me, this is a evolving situation. So originally I said, all right, I'm just gonna get the Claremont epics because I love the Claremont run, right? I mean, it's like an ice cold take. I mean, the Claremont run, 17 years, it's like the establishment of everything we love about X-Men, right? So I was like, all right, cool. The last volume of the X-Men epics I'll get is 19 because that's the end of the Claremont run, right? Yeah, okay, so I ended up going further. I got Fatal Attractions. I have Legacies. I have Bishop's Crossing. I'm going to get the Executioner's Song reprint. And then at that point, why not just get the first 4 volumes that I skipped over, because 1 and 4 were easy to get. 2 gets reprinted next month. 3 will get reprinted at some point in the future, I'm sure. And if it doesn't, it's not the best era. So I was like, all right, I'm all in on the X-Men epics. Then they have issues like this. So the Long Shot miniseries got skipped over in Epic, and I found it, and I was like, okay, I'm going to get it because it's written by Ann Nesenti. Can you tell I like Ann Nesenti? So anyways, got that. There's other miniseries that I don't have, right? The Magic miniseries, which ties into an X-Men issue, but is more New Mutants focused, right? Didn't worry about that. But this, yeah, I'm going to get that. All right, so how about this? New X-Men, the modern epics, decided to go in on those. I like the first third and the last third of the Grant Morrison run. Not so much the middle, but you know what? I'm going to get the whole thing. And then the John Cassaday Astonishing X-Men, I was going to get the epics. And then I realized the epics were just reskins of the complete collections, and I have the 2 complete collections, and I'm not spending all that money on modern epics that are too thin just for a spine. If they make a Astonishing X-Men Epic 3, that just is the next chunk of issues, I'll totally get that, because that's something I don't have. So for X-Men, for core X-Men, I'm going to go epics. Epics. With the occasional side pickup, it's going to be epics. Except for one era. Krakoa era, I'm doing in Omnis, because at this point, with how much there is to still do an epic, by the time Krakoa gets epics, I'm going to be like 90. All right, so let's just pick up the pace, right? Right now, Marvel is doing these Age of Krakoa omnibuses. They're thick. They include every single series. You know, when they get to doing epics, will they split? We'll talk about the alternate teams in a moment. Will they, you know, if an epic line for Krakoa, would it just have X-Men? Would there just be an X-Force line? Would there be a Marauders line, an Excalibur line? Would all of these be in separate lines? Probably. For Krakoa, I want everything. It was the most interconnected era I think X-Men's ever had because everybody was living on the same island. I read all of this as it was coming out. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It did fall apart a little bit towards the end, but lately I've been seeing that that's just a Marvel Comics issue because, oh boy, the Ultimate Universe finales have been rough. So I'm going Omni. I'm not going Epic. I'm not waiting for anything. I'm just going to get the Omnis. It's a little messy because the events aren't always included. So I have all the event hardcovers, and I'm going in on the Omnis. I keep wanting to say Epics. I keep going in on the Omnis. Krakoa's Omnis. Everything else for X-Men, Epic. But this has got to be Omnis because I want everything. I got to go with the Omni. That's the whole point of an Omni, right? All right, let's talk spin-offs for X-Men because, yes, there's a ton. So first of all these Claremont flashback miniseries, some I like more than others. Do we need to keep going back to the past? Probably not. I buy every single one of them. I'm part of the problem. I apologize. All right, spin-off books. New Mutants, Excalibur, X-Force, X-Factor, all of them, skipping all of them. I do really like a lot of the characters in the mutant world. I like that they have their own books. I like the ideas behind, books like X-Factor, New Mutants and stuff. I think there was a good place for them. For me, I'm going to just not bother. There's too many volumes because as you can tell from the video, I do collect a lot of Marvel that's not X-Men. If I was X-Men only, I'd be all in on all of those. But I'm not, So I'm not doing any of the spin-off books, which is why you're probably wondering why are we staring at Generation X. I broke my rule, and I picked up the first volume of Generation X. And it might be it's in a top 3 favorite X-related books ever. So I'm going all in on the Generation X Epic collections. I have them all. The last one's coming out. I'm very excited. I absolutely love this team. I've been reading some of Claremont's New Mutants, which I think is good. It's like it. I don't enjoy it as much as I do Generation X. That's just a personal taste thing. One of the things I really like is that with the original New Mutants, everybody looked human, right? Like everybody just looked like normal humans. They could blend into society. Yes, one turned into, a wolf, one could catch fire, but they all looked like normal kids. Generation X, half of them got stuck with the worst powers, right? Like Jubilee, she doesn't have that much to complain about. I mean, he's got a whole split personality thing. Sync looks normal, but he's socially awkward. Husk has to rip her skin off to use her powers. Chambers missing his lower jaw, and he's on fire. Skin, poor guy. So I like the fact that this is a team of freaks, and I like their dynamic, and I've really enjoyed their series. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to break the rule. No side team books, except for Generation X. Always, I'll show up for any of these characters. This is one of my favorite X-Men comics I've ever read. So, that's the rule breaker. All right, solo X-Men. If it's Storm, if it's Nightcrawler, I'm 100% in. I've got all the Storm miniseries and Nightcrawler miniseries and trades, right? 100% on board because Storm is my favorite X-Men, Nightcrawler is my second favorite. Covered. All right, why do I own Phoenix? I like Jean. Jean, great character. I bought the Phoenix series because Rocket Raccoon was a main character in it. It was more for the Guardian side of things than the X-Men. So, there's that. All right, Wolverine. Third favorite X-Men, good old Logan. Love Wolverine. All right, so originally I was just going to get the Larry Hama run in Epics because I'm a big Larry Hama fan. I love his G.I. Joe, love a lot of his work. I was really going to do that. All right, so I did that. And then I ended up getting a copy of Volume 2, which was some Claremont stuff, and I got Volume 1. And then I was like, oh, yeah, I should just get the rest. So I have all the Wolverine epics currently released, which includes the all-new Wolverine epic of the first volume of Laura's run. I will get all Laura's stuff too. I'm gonna go in on all the Wolverine. Also, I'm not doing Omnis for X-Men. I'm gonna get the Dark Wolverine Omnibus because I like Akihiro a lot, and I don't know if he's ever gonna get epics, and it's kind of an all-in-one deal, and I can sell my old trades. That's a win-win for me. So there's that. In terms of side material for Wolverine, he's got a ton. I don't know if Weapon X is going to be in the epics. It's a Marvel Comics Presents series. It might be. Because some people have been wondering because of the parental advisory kind of warning on some of the Weapon X printings, would it make it? Wolverine Origin has the same parental advisory. It made it into the epics. So there should be, I think, an epic number 4. We got epic 5 solicited, and there's not that much of a gap between 3 and 4, so there's room to stick all of that. So it's probably going to be in there, and then I can sell this one if the bonus material makes it over. And then there's this. Wolverine Snicked. It is a Marvel comic, but it was done by a Japanese manga artist. It has been most recently reprinted by Viz. This came out in 2003 prior to the Wolverine relaunch, so it should have been in Law of the Jungle, but it's not. So I have it in case it doesn't make it to Epic due to maybe licensing, but that's where I'm at with Wolverine. I'm sticking to Epics. I'll get Akihiro's Omni. I'll get Laura's stuff in Epics. I feel like Laura's going to get Epics. I feel like Akihiro's just not. I just have a feeling that if he does, it's going to be forever from now, so I might as well just get the Omni, especially because I like one and done Omnis. That being said, I said no X-Men Omnis. I have one. I have one X-Men Omni. So the one X-Men Omni that's not Krakoa, that's not Akihiro Wolverine, is X-Men the Animated Series, the adaptations. They have not released this in another format. Also, I got it on a whim. It was one of those comic shop things. Like, they had it. It's like, oh. My dad texted me because he was at the shop without me, and he was like, do you have this? And I was like, no. And he was like, do you want it? And I was like, I do. And then I was like, what's the price? And he told me the price. I was like, yeah, I want that. So, yes, absolutely. This is just adapting the early episodes of the series with the comic artists of the time. And honestly, I really like it. I'm not one for adaptations that much. I'm not like a big, comic adaptation guy. I'm really into like just, the original medium kind of thing. But I'm also like, I'm kind of like, I take a comic, make it a movie. But when you make that movie or that TV show back into a comic, I'm not always into it. But I do pick them up from time to time, and I find it interesting. And in this case, I think it's great. I mean, the fact that you got, like, this is like the animated series version of the Phoenix Saga, right? So you've got, like, 90s Wolverine and 90s Cyclops in the classic Phoenix cover art. That just tickles my fancy. You know, I like it. It's fun. The artwork's great. The artwork sort of gets worse as the series progresses, but some of these early issues are just gorgeous. And I can see why they put this out in an Omni, because not only because 90s X-Men sells, I'm part of the problem, I know this, but just these early issues especially are like just gorgeously illustrated. So I got that. And this is less because it's an X-Men Omni and more because it goes with the collection that contains the Further Adventures, which was a thick trade that was all the extra comics that were actually new stories that weren't adapting episodes. It goes with the Secret Wars Battle World tie-in X-Men 92 that I didn't like that much, and its follow-up series that I also didn't like that much, or it's let's redo Krakoa in the 90s X-Men style. Sure, why not? And of course the X-Men 97 prequel miniseries, and of course the X-Men manga, which also adapts pretty much the same episodes that are in the Omni, but you know, it's in a manga style. I think I just really like the 90s X-Men aesthetic. You know, it's funny, I talk about like the 90s X-Men show is not my favorite X-Men animated series. I mean, currently my favorite's 97, which is, you know, basically the same show, but you know, I really like Evolution. I like Wolverine the X-Men. I like the anime, but like, I don't know, I guess I really like the 90s era of X-Men. It's just something about it. Because, like, look at all these books. I also have all the behind-the-scenes books, so I think I kind of really am a big fan of that show. I don't know why I downplay it, because I own, like, everything for it. So, clearly I like it. Now, speaking of things that are messy, probably wondering, how do I deal with events? Alright, Marvel events are messy. They always are. Just plain and simple. So here's how I deal with some of them. Follow the Mutants. This is going to be one of those things that people have predicted. I think the Epic Collections might contain all of Follow the Mutants because they interlock, so I might not need to keep this trade. Whereas Inferno, the Epics are only going to include what's relevant to each series. So, like, it's only going to contain Uncanny X-Men in the Uncanny X-Men volume that will contain Inferno. So I want to have this because it's got New Mutants and X-Factor issues there. It's not like I don't care about the other teams. I just don't want to buy all their issues. Secret Wars, obviously, like the Fantastic Four and the X-Men are big players in this. So, I need it for my collection. Infinity Gauntlet. I'm surprised this wasn't just in the Silver Surfer epics because of how tied in. Like, Infinity Gauntlet doesn't have that Silver Surfer. That's where all the stone collecting happens, where Thanos' rise to power happens. The Omni, luckily though, put Infinity Gauntlet in, which I think was smart. Same story goes with Infinity War. Again, it ties into Silver Surfer more than anything. And Secret Wars is a big old Fantastic Four story, so you know, there's that. Okay, so that's how I deal with events. Some others, it depends, right? So Devil's Reign, big Daredevil event, they put the main Devil's Reign issues in the Zdarsky omnibuses, so I'm good. I don't need the tie-ins. Judgment Day, I got that Krakoa X-Men tie-in, right? I got the Judgment Day omnibus. The Blood Hunt omnibus is coming up. I'm getting that because, you know, I have the main Blood Hunt miniseries, but the tie-ins, Midnight Suns, Werewolf by Night, Blade, all that stuff is like in my wheelhouse. Like enough of that event fits into my collecting gaps, right? So it goes with my collections. It goes with my Moon Knight. Because I have a Moon Knight by Jed McKay. I don't collect any other Moon Knight, so I do need Blood Hunt for that. So it's going to be kind of like I'm getting the Blood Hunt omnibus because most of that book goes with my collection, and I also really liked Blood Hunt, and I just want the whole thing. So that's kind of how I deal with events. It's case by case. Like I don't have every event. I only have events that connect to the books I collect because that's the only ones that I really care about. Because for the most part, especially lately, a lot of these events just don't feel special and they just feel like the annual obligation. So I don't really have a reason to own them outside of if they tie into a character that I care about. So that's my rules of how I collect Marvel Comics. You can tell that some of these rules are fast and loose. That's for certain. They're not hard, fast rules sometimes. I'm really sticking to that Fantastic Four, though. I really just want to stick just to thick trades, just to keep it simple for myself. And honestly, it has been. And maybe I need to do that for some of these other things. Maybe I do need to, like, just say, like, Daredevil, I'm just going to get your thick trades. But, you know, I don't want to... Maybe I just need to go Daredevil Omnis, but then they're missing issues. So, you know, I got to figure that one out. But this is kind of how it goes. I hope this was helpful as well, because I know some people ask, like, you know, how do you decide? Do you get this and this and this and this? I hope this was helpful to kind of enlighten a little bit how my process is for collecting comics. As you can tell, I'm not one of those epic only, Omni only guys. I am bouncing back and forth depending on what it is. So that's kind of how it goes. If you have any questions, though, leave it in the comments down below. Hit the like button and the subscribe and the notification bell down there if you haven't already. Appreciate for everybody doing that. Also, be sure to check out the Discord server and the link below if you want to continue the conversation. And you can join as a channel member and get perks like early access to videos and special shoutouts. Let's give some special shoutouts to some of our channel members. Special shout out to all of our channel members, including Fernando Pereira, John Troutman, Jake Hambrick, Kustov, Worlds of Wonder, The Vinyl Planet, Common Jojo, Mike Hazel, Platinum Angel, Zabimaro202, Kyle A, 00711, Mojazz, Infinite 1985, Light Yagami, and Chim Jakil. Thank you all for your support of this channel, viewers and channel members alike. If you so wish, I'm on social media on Blue Sky and Letterboxd at Soundout12. You can also find my wonderful graphic designer on social media and Discord at DarkClaw643. You can find Hero Club at HeroClub.com for comic reviews and more. And until next time, this is Soundout saying, this is the fun of comics sometimes, is just figuring out what you want to collect before you go ahead and start reading it.